Did you see Peter?
All right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, that's the right name. All right. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:02, just in time for you, Peter.
Thank you.
First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Do
The
we have
little
a
flag behind you.
There we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next order of business will be introductions. We'll start over here.
Peter Magnet, school board member from Franklin.
Rennick Darnell Martin, school board chair.
Jess Borbo, assistant principal at Swanton School.
Chris Dodge, principal here at Swanton.
Joanne Johnston, school board member with Franklin.
Megan Conley, school board member from Swanton.
Don Collins, school board member Swanton.
Julie Regenball, superintendent.
Derek Garza, tech director for the district.
All right. Thank you. Next we got correspondence, visitors, and public comment. Do we have anybody online or in the audience who would like to say anything? All right. I see none. Moving on, we have agenda review for. Julie, is there anything we need to change or
I
arrange?
didn't know if you wanted to reorder the student recognition to before the administrative reports.
I would make that a motion. You don't?
Yeah, we can do that.
I don't know why we put them that way in the agenda and then always switch it.
We do.
We do. We do switch it out.
Because
But
you're-
there's an order to things, and then we get flexible.
It's a trick. She wants to see if we'll alert.
All right, so we'll do that, but then we'll do principal reports and then the tour of Babcock.
Absolutely, that's perfect.
All right. Next, we have the approval of minutes from May 13th.
I'll make that motion.
Megan is the first. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Joanne is the second. Any discussion about the minutes from May 13th? All right. All in favor of approval of the minutes from May 13th, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, so motion will carry 5-0. All right, so next we're going to have the recognition of Swanton Middle School Distinguished Student Award recipients.
Absolutely. So I'll kick that off for you.
Please do.
Swanton has a really fun and exciting history with this award. So the New England League of Middle Schools every year has an annual award. Historically, it has been the Middle Level Scholar. It was changed a few years ago to be called the Middle Level Distinguished Student, and they kind of expanded their criteria to move beyond just looking at academics to kind of character and whole student, and it became a really inclusive award. And so every year, everyone who works with our 6th grade students gets together. We start at the beginning of the year, and we start with a conversation with students, and we share the criteria for that award with them and talk with them about what we might be watching for throughout the year, what might be part of our conversation as we come toward the end of the year. So it certainly includes all of the criteria that the New England League of Middle Schools puts out, as well as our school agreements that we have here at Swanton. So we have a number of nominations from teachers, and the 6th grade team gets together and selects 2 students. And we're really excited this year to have Alex Noel and Jace Roulette, who have been selected to be recipients of this award. And Alex is here with us tonight, and Alex is sitting right next to Shannon Smullen. Shannon is our art teacher, and Shannon was the teacher that initiated the nomination for Alex. So I invited Shannon to come tonight to just speak a little bit about her nomination and the pieces that she is recognizing in Alex.
Absolutely. Dear Missisquoi Valley School Board members, it's my distinct pleasure to talk about my nomination of Alex Noel for the Middle Level Distinguished Student Award at Swanton School. This is my first year teaching art at Swanton School, and my only regret has been that I haven't known these 6th graders for very long, and I feel like I'm already saying goodbye to them. However brief our time together, it didn't take very long for me to recognize Alex's inherent distinguishing qualities as a student and classmate. Distinguished is not a very particular descriptor for Alex in art class. I might include descriptors like driven, attentive, thoughtful, and compassionate. My first impression of Alex was that she had this quiet kind of power that drew classmates into positive relationships, while she was also incredibly focused on her schoolwork and gave each assignment 100% effort 100% of the time. Her ability to envision a project and make it come to fruition is nothing short of spectacular. Her drive and focus are hallmarks that are seen throughout Unified Arts courses, homeroom, and general education courses. Alex carries a true blue attitude with her and that she displays in every single arena. Her homeroom teacher, Mrs. DePady, sees this most evidently and is appreciative. It's her willingness to support her classmates that, in my opinion, makes her a leader. Kindness and compassion can often be overlooked when we talk about the strength of a person, but I believe that it's the strength of someone's empathy and understanding of others that makes them a powerhouse. I'm pleased to say that Alex is such a powerhouse, as are her younger siblings. It's a really remarkable family trait that I get to experience as I teach all 3 of them. It's a unique pleasure to teach students like Alex. I get to bear witness to her incredible creativity and support her interests. I will miss her at Swanton as she's off to MVU next year, but I'm convinced our paths will cross again. And I look forward to what future academic and creative opportunities will have in store for her. She is indeed a very distinguished young person who reminds me that being a leader doesn't happen at a particular age. It's a mindset that is cultivated. I'm pleased to say that we would do well to have leaders like Alex in the future, and it's something that I look forward to seeing. Thank you for your time.
Very nice.
Congratulations, Alex.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Very nice.
And congratulations to our teachers for putting that together. That was very meaningful.
That's great. Our second recognized student is Jace Brulette. Jace could not be with us tonight, but I asked Jen Mitchell, who most of you I think probably know Jen, can pull off just about anything in no time at all. So I said to Jen Mitchell this morning, can you give us just 1 minute of a couple of questions with Jace so that the board can put his face together with this recognition. So here's just a minute of a couple of questions with Jace.
Let's see if I can pull this off.
Swanton's Middle Level Distinguished.
Nope, Derek, what'd I do wrong?
When you share your screen, you have to share your sound.
Kirsten Belrose, would you like to talk a little bit about,
Sure.
this seems to happen every
So-
time.
So while we're queuing up the video, Mrs. Belrose is here, and Kirsten initiated the nomination of Jace.
So I've had the pleasure of working with Jace this year. I actually had his brother as well, so it's really nice to get to know him. He's a really great kid. He's very, very driven. He's not just a high achieving student, but he brings about the best in his colleagues. And so what has struck me most about him is while he's very motivated, he is a motivator, perhaps, of his peers. And within the classroom, and my teammate Mary Bravo said she would echo this, that it doesn't matter who you are. He's comfortable working with you. He's buddies with everyone. They love him and they gather around him. And he's the kind of kid who he knows the right thing to do, and he works hard to do it. He's open to feedback. He actually seeks it out and uses it, which is kind of a nice thing to experience as a teacher. He really wants to do well, but he's also there for the whole whole team. And so what I often observe him doing is just kind of stepping in and gently helping kids to be able to achieve their best. So that kind of stood out to me as a young child of 12, and I am very proud of him.
Thank you for that.
So,
Let's see.
he loves soccer, as you can see. This is his passion.
How do I do it so it doesn't echo horribly?
Play again.
You'd have to turn your microphone off on the laptop.
It is, but there's too many things.
did.
Other years.
Yeah, I had his brother when we were hybrid.
With Jason Roulette, one is level distinct.
Is it the audio's off? That's worse.
Well, I was going to save this until the end, but I'll chime it in now.
Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely. One of the things that I noticed about both of these nominations that I think was really impressive was that in both nominations, the teachers talked a lot about both of these students, both Jace and Alex, doing the right thing even when their peers might not be making that same decision.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that has become harder and harder over time, that you can be around folks that might not be doing exactly what's expected in that particular moment, and there's a lot of pressure in those moments to kind of fall in with some of those decisions that might not be lining up with what we would hope folks to be doing. And there was a tremendous amount of conversation in this nomination process for both of these students about how they're not afraid, when we talk about leadership qualities, they're not afraid to make a different decision in those moments, to kind of stick to the expectation and to really encourage their peers to do the same thing. And I just think that's hard sometimes. So that was really impressive. And that was something that came out about both of them.
So while they're figuring that out, Alex, would you like to say anything? Maybe talk about, you don't have to, but talk about,
It's just an honor to be here.
what's your favorite part and what are you going to miss most about elementary school?
Just the building.
Oh, the building.
You
So-
can come back anytime.
And sub.
So do these students get a plaque or a
They will, they'll be
certificate?
recognized at graduation. Yep.
Great.
I think, doesn't family have a virtual, they used to
Yes.
have a nice banquet, but then COVID came. And now it's still, it's a virtual type of
I'm here.
thing. Okay.
Well, before we play that, I just
Yeah,
want to say
sorry.
congratulations
Thank you.
and no pressure. Big things are expected of you now.
And if
Thank you for
looking
being
a
here.
job, give me a call.
You should just use it as something to give you confidence to know how respected you are by people who pay attention to these sorts of things. You're very proud.
All right, Derek.
I'm here with Jace Brulette, one of Swanton's middle level distinguished students. So, Jace, how did you feel about being selected as one of the middle level distinguished students?
I was very surprised when they pulled me out of music class.
Why were you surprised?
I thought I was in trouble.
You thought you were in trouble? So how did you feel when they explained to you why you were being pulled out?
I was proud of myself.
Okay. What are the top qualities that you think have served you well as a student?
I show honesty, hard work, and dependability.
Okay, what advice would you give to an incoming 6th grader?
Just work hard to get your work done and help others when they need it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. It was a wonderful last-minute idea that I'm glad we were able to make work.
Absolutely. This is really fun. Kirsten introduced me to this when I came. This has been happening for many, many years here. And after the decisions are made, I get to have a really fun time with these students. So before we make any type of announcement about who is being recognized, I call them down to my office. They don't know why. That's always fun, isn't it, Alex? And I get to tell them that they're going to be recognized, and then we call their parents, and that's always a fun time too when we get to play that up a little bit, right? And I usually start that phone call, and we have a little bit of a good time with mom and dad on the phone and make them wonder for a minute what's going on, don't we, Adam?
Yep.
And so
I asked them which kid is it.
That's that's right. And then we do a little PR for the newspaper, and we just really have a good time with it. So we're really proud of them.
Well, thank you for that, Chris, and thank you for showing up, and congratulations. It's a lot of work on the teacher's part, and so we appreciate it. We like seeing these things.
It's a nice way to recognize kids in this age group, because sometimes people think, oh, middle school, we love it.
They're the
And
best.
it's just, I think it's a positive thing, and it's a great group of kids, and it's nice to see what we have coming up. So, thank you for having them come.
And watching you every year.
And I think, like, one of the things that you spoke of and some of the teachers had said about you and Jace is the ability to do the right thing even when your peers are possibly not. And that's hard to do at your age. That's hard to do at our age. And I hope you never lose that, because at the end of the day, doing what's right, not what's easy, is what matters the most. So I love that was brought up. I think it's just so important and critical to creating better humans. And so thank you for doing that when it's hard.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
You're all set. Unless you want to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Sounds fascinating. Thank you so much.
Okay, next agenda item, we have principal reports. We'll start with Joyce out in Franklin. How are you, Joyce?
Well, I'm good. That's a tough act to follow, though. I love what Megan just said, and that is so true. So this was a long report, so I'm going to just pick out a few things, because so many good things were happening since March. I can't believe it's been since March. But one thing I did want to mention was the 4th grade, inviting families and classes to their culminating projects in social studies on Vermont economics. A lot of times we hear about science projects and math and literacy, but we don't always hear much about social studies. So I did just want to mention that. They learned about different components of running a business, and they had to come up with an idea for a business and kind of showcase what they had learned throughout the unit. And it was just really cool to see the different ideas that they had. Then other than that, just a big shout out again to the STEM Fest and the people for organizing that. My favorite thing about that is watching the older kids with the younger kids, and I try to put in a few pictures of that, because it's such a great educational experience and so much fun. And I will say this year the new rocket blaster was really exciting. Staff appreciation, I wanted to say that on television because it was just so thoughtful. Everything was so nicely done, and we always tell them not to spend a lot of money, that what we really care about is, sometimes just notes from the kids or from parents, and the luncheon. So many people are such good cooks, and It just made everybody feel so special that week. So many things in there. Guess just the spring concert. It's pretty special to see everybody from pre-K to grade 6 performing in one evening, and with the concert band and the beginning band, and we were lucked out. It was just starting to get a little warm, so it was incredibly packed in the gym, and I don't think as many people stayed afterwards for the bake sale as ordinarily would, because it was so hot, but it was just it's a really, really wonderful evening. My staffing update was in there, kind of some big changes for Franklin, because we only have one person who's retiring, but Carrie Parody will be moving into intervention. And our 3rd grade teacher, Laura Sullivan, has always wanted to teach 2nd grade, but had never said anything because Carrie was our 2nd grade teacher. And so given the circumstances, she did say something now, and she's going to move to 2nd grade. And we have hired a 3rd grade teacher and a pre-K teacher. So our certified staffing is all done, but that's big changes for Franklin with those positions. So everybody's just really busy with planning all the end of the year activities. I don't think anybody really knows how much goes into planning all those end of the year field trips and working all kinds of things right now for transition activities, summer programming. It's just a super busy time of year. I feel like when we come back from April vacation, all of a sudden it's June and graduation and end of year in service. And I did just want to mention that, and it'll be in my next report, but Memorial Day yesterday, and I'll have it in my report, like I said, but I did just want to mention it was a really special Memorial Day town presentations, because our 4th grade teacher, Val Shepard, passed away about a week and a half ago, and Val taught in Franklin 36 years. Her classes always memorized in Flanders Field for town hall presentations. And so this year, they checked with the family, and they knew that she wouldn't want to do anything to take away from the purpose of the day and all. But during the town hall presentations, former students and staff recited in Franklin and Flanders Field's memory of Val. And it was just really special. So I'm going to miss her. And that's my report before I choke up, because that's why I told Chris I'm going to be hard pressed to say something at the service, because I get choked up really easily. So I don't get through my holiday thank you to the staff without 10 words, and I get choked up. So I'm going to do the best I can. So that's my report. It was really long. I apologize for that, but a lot's happened, and there was quite a few upcoming events there too. But those were just a few highlights quickly.
Never too long.
Never too
long. Any questions for Joyce?
Never too long. Oh my gosh, watch out saying that.
I have a question. And I enjoy reading your reports, and I don't really mind long written reports. We'll leave it at that. Okay. ARC professional development. Thinking over the years, professional development's always been key, but do you rate these people as one of the best organizations, best groups to do it? Or are they just another one that happened to come along?
Well, I can't compare it to other literacy program professional development, but we just had our day with Brianne last week to talk about what went, celebrate different things, look at our class data analysis, all of that. And part of what we did was talk specifically about the PD. And I think the teachers and I all felt that this has been really, really well done. There were a couple of times where we said, wow, Brianne, we felt like we saw you 1 week and you were back like in less than 2 weeks. But it was still really valuable. We were just talking about it today because we had a leadership meeting today. And one of the best things about it was it was embedded, it was here, they were in, Brianne came into classrooms, but it was customizable, so it wasn't one, cookie cutter approach, because not every teacher needs the same thing. And one of the things that was really, really effective was people being able to ask specifically, did they need, an ERLA, being modeled? Did they need a toolkit being modeled? And if we could have, I'm really hoping we have Brianne back with us next year. But it was really well done. I mean, kudos to Kosha for the way it was scheduled, and it was enough, but not too much, I think. I did say maybe next year not to schedule it so much in June because we have another meeting coming up soon in June. But I think it's been really, really well done. They've been very listened to feedback, and we kind of thought there were some things maybe missing around a couple of things in the second grade. They've got a revision coming out for that. When there was feedback given even during a pilot around some sixth grade issues, they took that feedback and made changes. So I think the professional development has been really good, and I think Julie could speak to it, and Kosha too, and Yeshua and Chris, but I think it's been excellent. And the data that we're able to see and respond to has been really great. And yeah, just the PD has been really good.
Are they New England based?
It's the American Reading Company. That one of the reasons why we went with their framework and materials was not just because of the knowledge-based curriculum and the evidence-based and all of the research that was done. Their professional development for teachers was so strong. So they're here very frequently supporting teachers in implementing this new reading program.
I remember when Kosha came to us, I think 2 years ago, and said she was going to initiate this. And I never connected it until I read this with what she had said a couple years ago. Thank you. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you, Joyce. Moving on, Yeshua. Want to highlight any things from your report for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a little under the weather, so sorry if I cover and cough a little bit, but I think kind of the big things was kind of like Joyce. It's kind of amazing that when you go from March till now, there's just so much that's been done. And I feel like for me, it's highlighting a lot of working on the master schedule, classroom placements, assigning teachers to classrooms. We have step-up day, field days, end of year barbecue, end of year awards. There's so much, and Mrs. Jeanette got to visit and shadow me for a couple of days, so she got to be in the building, kind of from an operational standpoint, get to know how things are, and she got to meet lots of students and staff, which was wonderful. And this past week, we had our Penny Wars, which was extremely exciting. I have not done one in probably 12 years, and I could not believe the excitement that came from that. And if you haven't done it, it's really all about so many coins, or certain dollar bills give you so many points, and that can be positive or negative. And we had jars out in the front office so kids could kind of hear every day how many points each grade level have, and you would have kids that wanted to put negative points in their siblings' jar, and it was just a lot of fun. And one grade level really didn't play all week, and then decided the last day they were going to play, and they had over 1.2 million points dumped in on Friday, which was exciting. Not to count it. That wasn't the fun part. As you could read in my report, money is actually really, really gross that you don't realize until you're counting. And also, just like Joyce, I just wanted to highlight, I felt like our Staff Appreciation Week was just so wonderful. It always starts with handwritten notes from the PTKO to the staff, which is really, really meaningful. And then everybody gets a raffle ticket and a gift card and a gift basket that are purchased by Highgate Hawk families, are raffled off every day. Then, of course, there's food, other little gifts, little things here and there, but it was just a wonderful week of celebrating everybody. So, yeah, it was wonderful. I don't think there's a ton else on there. Oh, actually, and our first graders tend to always go to the Tyler Place for their end of the year field trip. And the Tyler Place uses that as almost like a test run with all of their counselors. So it's really nice. It gives these kids a really great opportunity to check out all the Tyler Place has to offer. And the Tyler Place gets a little training for the staff. So that was really great. Kids, I can't tell you how excited they are when they walk in the building and they're in their bathing suits. They're like, do you know where we're going? And it's super exciting. It's a nice little tradition that Highgate has. That's the big ones for me.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Yeshua? All right, well, thank you for that, Yeshua, and I hope you feel a little bit better. It's a terrible time of year to be sick. And last, Chris?
Sure. So similar to what Joyce and Yeshua said, all those end of the year things are happening for us as well. Our fifth graders are engaged in Starbase right now, and that is always a huge bit of excitement for them. They love that. There was some question about Starbase funding, so we were really excited that they were able to get funding through at least the end of this year and potentially beyond. But so our fifth graders have been going. Their rocket launch is scheduled for Thursday this week, and that's always such a highlight. Even students over in Babcock who have siblings who are in Central already talk about the hope of going to Starbase when they get to fifth grade. So really something to look forward to. We had an incredible couple of Memorial Day ceremonies here. We had a ceremony over here in Babcock and a ceremony in Central. And our Unified Arts team organized these pieces. Students were able to learn just a little bit more about the history and the reasoning behind why we recognize and acknowledge Memorial Day and how that's important. We had a great guest speaker, Tina Churchill, over in Central, who was a member of the Vermont Army National Guard for 23 years and came over and answered a lot of questions for students and spoke to students in grades 3 through 6. And then we had an absolute tearjerker of a solo performance of the national anthem by Abby Patnode, who just stood up in front of grades 3 through 6 and belted this out, and it was just amazing. And so really, really incredible and powerful stuff. We are feeling very successful in our hiring process right now. Not only because we had very few openings this year, which is a celebration in and of itself, but we have 3 professional positions, 2 first grades and a 6th grade position. We have 2 of those positions signed on the dotted line at this point, and 1 almost signed on the dotted line, so we're keeping our fingers crossed. So we're really excited about that and hoping that this week, or certainly by early next week, we can kind of bring that to a close and be done with that. So that's maybe earlier than usual and certainly less positions than usual for us. So we're very excited about that. We had a grades 5 and 6 concert the other day, chorus and band, that was really exciting, and that's kind of a standout performance for us because it's the one every year that gets held at MVU. And we're really fortunate that MVU allows us to come and use the theater there. It's an experience that our students don't have here at Swanton, and it just gives them a chance to get onto that stage and be in a theater and experience the lighting and all of that stuff that kind of sets the stage, no pun intended, for their transition to MVU. So that's exciting. And like Yeshua mentioned, we had a great staff appreciation week as well. Our PTO is just incredible and provided lunch and drawings and treats on a cart. They went around to everybody's classroom with treats on a cart and a handwritten certificate with something that they acknowledged individually about every single staff person as they wheeled the trolley around with
They got some kid
a
feedback.
treat.
too,
And they got
usually.
they got some kid feedback about what they should be acknowledging. So that's just really special and a lot of work on our part. Anything to add?
I think that's pretty good.
Any questions for Chris or Jess?
I have a comment. And I want to go back because I had a comment for Joshua, but we moved on. I was very pleased, Joshua, to see that the work between you and Miss Jeanette, with her coming to school and serving some time, and you're engaging her in some activities. That's very positive, and there'll be a good payoff on that. So I know being principal is busy enough without having to do that, but glad you did it. Thank you. Chris, I was very pleased to see attendance, engagement, and truancy. It's been one of my topics now for about 30 years. I've only stayed with it for a while, but that's good. That's good.
And all of that credit needs to go right to my neighbor right next door here. Jess has really taken that on as her initiative
Good.
and worked very, very hard at that.
I think anybody who's been in the classroom knows how hard it is, right? When you work with kids in small groups or one-on-one and you don't have them there, right? To make progress with, right? It can be so discouraging and frustrating because you know they have so much potential. And that's one of the areas that I really wanted to latch on to this year. So we have, it's a team effort. So we have a really great system in place for how we keep track of that. And Celine has been a really good partner for getting in contact with families who have missed maybe more excessive amounts of days, right? That might be able to help us out with those kinds of things. And
I used to say coming to school should be like brushing your teeth and combing your hair. You did it.
Yeah.
And then 15 years later, when you graduate and get a job, you know showing up is important.
I think one of the things that really has struck me about all of this work is that Jess has really worked very hard to create a system where we're meeting with parents, family members, caregivers early on in the process. And when you get folks around the table, I'm always reminded of, there's a story behind when a student isn't coming to school, there's a story behind that. And sometimes that's a really simple fix, actually. Sometimes it's more complicated, but sometimes there are things that we can do relatively quickly or relatively easily to really support them. So we certainly have our share of more complicated situations, but we also, I think, have been able to make some really pretty immediate interventions.
Yeah. Some parents don't realize that their kid has reached that number of days either, because there's been a lot of sicknesses, or your kid's sick for a couple of days and you take a vacation, right? You can get up there pretty quickly. So I think it's been really nice to have teachers on board with filling in some things about why kids maybe have reached 10, 15, 20 days of being out, and so that team effort has really paid off because we're definitely seeing an increase in presence of students.
Thank you.
Have a mental note before we go outside and see what it looks like now. This is what it's going to look like when we get back.
I don't think I've ever gone on the side.
No, most people haven't.
Oh, look, my car is right there. Oh, we're out front.
Yeah, that's how you guys can get out. We can finish the meeting right here.
No. Good idea.
Don't get distracted by the sunshine.
Yeah, no, we gotta go in right here first.
Come on, Jason.
We want to see what the front is.
This isn't nearly as pleasant.
Nope, this is the least most pleasant spot we have. Watch your step. This is one of the driving factors of upgrades. So if you look behind you, we've got this original gear is from 1964. Yep, all of that. That is all original. We don't shut that off. We don't play with that. We don't do anything unless we absolutely have to. So part of this project is a brand new, service distribution center going in.
So we got new service coming.
Yeah, we're gonna have a pod mount transformer out in the parking lot, right in the corner. We're gonna have a new underground service feed come right across. Brand new feed for in here. And then this room gets completely renovated. New boilers, which will be smaller, more efficient. New hot water distribution for the school. All new pumps that'll be water balanced in association with all the rooftop units that are going on.
How old are those ones?
2007. Yeah. Almost 20 years old. Yeah.
It was nice surprise.
Yeah. This one here, this boiler on the left is our main boiler. A few years back, we did have some issues with that boiler. They've reached their end of life. We're on borrowed time with those now. They run a lot. These two run all year long. Next door we have hot water heaters. So in the summertime, students can get their water through that. Here we can't, so these boilers have to stay running all summer long to keep hot water to the staff and the students that are in this building. So these run, it'll be different with the new system. We'll have independent hot water with the new system, but
It'll be more efficient.
much more efficient.
You see that impacting the use of fuel? See that fuel reduction?
Yeah, there will be an energy. You know, it's we'll see a reduction in fuel. We'll see, you know, a little increase in energy because, you know, going to the systems like we have in Highgate, we're going with a dehumidification system. So, you know, you'll see when we get around to the back, we've got 3 rooftop units, and all of these rooms have their own individual unit heaters. We will be going to 7 rooftop units, redistributing air throughout the entire school just from those 7 units. So a little different distribution, mimicking what we've got in Highgate. So
What are you gonna do with the sledgehammer and crowbar that you?
yeah, it's coming. Code regulations, so that'll get turned into a double door, double sidewalk there. These sidewalks will be redone. All the talk that we've had, this scalloped plastic stuff around the top, that's all going away. Just like in the pictures, there's just gonna be panels, new panels that go in there.
You got bigger windows coming on too, right?
In here, yes. So back in the day, nearest, we can't find the original drawings, but we know what it used to be because of what's behind it. These used to be light panels. Somebody filled them in, put the windows in. So we're gonna be 7 feet up with a brand new front, and then we're gonna have light panels basically from the top of those windows now all the way to the ceiling. All that scallop stuff will be gone. All the colors will be different. Everything on the bottom will be painted.
Really improve that.
So Jason?
Yep.
The parking lot things will finish up next year?
What's that, Don?
Parking lot and stuff will be done next year.
The parking lot will be all be done by August when kids come back to school. Yep. So this will all be. That's why the schedule is a little crazy the way it is, because the majority of this wing has to be done for first day of in-service. So this schedule impact is big because that wing there, we put the new roof on last year. So that's the new roof we did last year. This wing here has all the new windows that we did last year. Everything else over here, if you look at this front entrance, there's gonna be a parapet up in the front, all new front facade. This pavement pad here in the middle is gonna come out. We're gonna have 2 new doors. We're gonna have the double entry here, so your double entry will come out. You'll have a second door inside, so you'll have a secured entryway.
So the door will come out to this.
Yeah, it'll be face flush with the brick. Underneath here, all of these poles will come out. They will excavate underneath every one of these poles, put new bases in. There'll be concrete pillars that come up 18 inches, so we'll never have to deal with the rot again, because as you can tell, the rot is only on the bottom.
Yep.
Of course, we have to salt this in the winter and stuff, so there'll be an 18-inch pillar there, or an 18-inch concrete pillar, and then the steel will go in above. So all the concrete that you see under here is all gonna be new. Everything's gonna get painted. Underneath the soffit, all of this is gonna be underneath, that's right, underneath a new soffit. So there'll be, all this lighting will come out all the way around. They'll drop down, we'll have a new soffit in here. All new lighting will go in. Everything will be nice, clean. You won't be able to see any of the bolts sticking through anymore. All of this wood has to come off because there's a truss in there. They need that truss to support when they do all the excavation here. So we've got a steel contractor that's gonna run massive girders the entire length to support it while they do all the excavation work on it.
Will the tectum come out or stay?
No, the tectum will stay. That's bolted with spikes right from the top. So none of that will come out.
Jay.
Yep.
Talk about putting new bases out here so we don't.
Yep. Did you not hear it? Yep. All new 18-inch tall bases.
We have our property line all straightened out.
Oh yeah, our property corner is right off of that mark. You can,
Okay.
Everything that's mowed is our property boundary.
One time we were trying to buy it.
Oh yeah.
Containers, Jason?
Containers are all gonna go right on the front lawn.
There's a lot of them.
Yep, we got 6 as of right now coming, so they'll start just on this side of the flower bed here, and they'll run that way. 2 of them will be here probably just for the summer. 4 of them will be here through December. So next spring we'll have to top seed and dress the lawns, but that's all right. We don't really have a lot of storage for 6 containers.
$25,000 to hire a company to move everything that has to be moved from the inside of the building out here.
We've got
So that we can pull off the project.
37 moves, 37 room moves that we're doing
It's like an orchestra.
in 5
A
days.
certain order.
In 5 days. Yep. So certain rooms have to be emptied for certain rooms to move into those, and it's just a big puzzle that's all on paper now, and
So
we're just waiting for the day.
Will you be pulling people from other, like from MVU?
Not for the move. No, we hired a professional moving company
Okay.
to do the move.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
So.
we do have teachers and paraprofessionals.
Yeah,
working
they'll be
to help.
packing through in service, and they're already packing now. You know, the librarian, she's already packing now, and it's going to be a lot. It's a huge
Grab some
move.
MVU interns.
Central office is coming.
So,
Putting our sneakers on.
so this side here, same thing. So this soffit and these poles carries all the way around. The big piece for this is this door.
Oh, it's really bad.
Yeah, they're all getting that way. This door has to become ADA compliant. This is the only other one that's a main entrance that isn't. So this will have a new pad poured on this whole entire length.
So you're gonna do the same thing with this
Yep. So as you can see, that
That's a lot.
hole in the corner is our test cut to see what we had for girders up in
Okay.
there. We had the steel company here with several other companies. So that's how they knew what they had to do for steel. But it's gonna look the same all the way down. All these pencil poles will come out, 18-inch steel or 18-inch concrete, and then
Are you
all the
putting
windows.
a steel pole back in?
Yeah, there'll be a steel pole back in. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They'll put the steel poles right back in. Everything will be painted. Everything will be stripped and painted, and all these walls will be painted. We're kind of working out the color scheme now to match the blue-gray color scheme that we're going for. But
Are we
Not-
gonna lose our pencils?
we're gonna
Because I
lose our
love the
pencils for now.
pencils.
Yep. We're gonna lose our pencils for now. Yep.
Sad.
We've gone back and forth, but yeah, it's a mixed review.
Oh,
So.
come on, they went in with the new
Yeah.
playground.
So, yeah.
There's
No, all the new
sentimental
poles will be
value.
powder coated, so they should last a
You
little
can have
bit.
them upside down, and the base could be that big eraser.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, so, you know, the best way to see on the roof is from here.
So that's all new roof over there.
Yep, all of these windows were all new last year. So the big window project we did last year was this entire wing. All of these windows are new. These are the same windows that will be going in Highgate this summer. With that window project, the difference with Highgate is Highgate will get new doors as well, because these doors were replaced in the late 90s, where Highgates are original. So all you can really see right now is one large rooftop unit, but there will be 7 rooftop units. That's why there's so much steel work happening within the building.
When you say rooftop.
Yep, so that rooftop, that Aeon unit that's right off the corner there, that current unit right there just runs the gym. So we will have 1 that runs the gym, we will have 3 that run this wing, 2 more that run the other wings.
You
So
have
those,
to have more support to hold those?
yeah, so yep, that's all been engineered. The steel company has been in, they know where all their steel beams have to go. So yeah, we'll have a few of them spread throughout that flat roof. So, which is nice. Unlike Highgate, they had to go on the ground. We had no place to put them. Here, we're able to put them up on the roof. Makes it a little easier to get ductwork in and out of the building. So, and it takes up less real estate outside.
As you've been saying, this is a pretty major
This is a
project.
huge project. This is the biggest project this we've seen. Square footage wise, and it's a bigger project.
So much bigger project than Franklin.
Yeah, it encompasses everything, including the demo. As we get inside, you'll see some of the demo that we're doing. It's a big project.
Are we changing anything inside as far as like classrooms and?
Not layout wise.
Not layout wise, okay.
No, not layout wise. Classroom layout will stay the same.
That'll be a good thing.
There's not enough days, right?
So the biggest change that we'll see in this hallway is this entire floor will come out. This entire ceiling structure will come out. All new flooring, all new ceilings, all new paint, all new doors. From here to the other end, you'll see, so this is gonna look brand new. Obviously this lighting is only 2 years old. We'll reuse the lighting, but everything else goes away. Like I said, classrooms all pretty much stay the way they are.
So you're not going to the classroom.
The biggest thing with the classrooms is once they pull this ceiling, the main trunk line of ductwork from all of those new units will come down. So all of these rooms will get ductworked just inside where the brick is here. So they're working on, with the engineers, on how to redo this structure here to get everything tucked up within the beams.
Okay, so that's gonna go away.
Yep.
The bolts coming through and all that.
Yep, so the ductwork will come into, there'll be ductwork in each room. That way every room will have an intake and an exhaust. I mean, we do now for just fresh air, but it'll be a lot different with the dehumidification. So every room, from here over doesn't really get impacted. We did the windows and stuff last year, but every room will get new ductwork. This is where we'll get the double entry. So currently just on the other side of Jess's door will be where the second door is. That door will push out 3 feet. We'll have a secured vestibule there. We'll flip-flop reception with the main office. So reception will be your first point, and then Jess's office will be here. Nurse's office stays the same. Obviously, we redo all the heating, the plumbing, all of the ceilings come out the whole entire way.
So you'll be out right out here, Josh?
When do you start?
When do we start? The move starts the 19th. So the last day of teachers is the 19th.
Are you finishing stages?
Yes. So this wing from here to that exit, the second exit sign, that door has to be done by in-service, which is August 21, 22 is in service, something like that.
That's fast.
It's crazy. It's a rough timetable. Their original date was August 29th before we told them when the actual first day of school was. So we've already started.
It's doable. We got this.
Is there I'm assuming the amount of trucks and stuff coming in, traffic and all
Yep,
that?
everything will be, so everything school related will be on that side. Everything construction related will be on this side for this project. We do have a big project also happening here, which is our stormwater project. The stormwater project also starts the first week of summer vacation. The bus loop, everything within the bus loop comes out. There's a stormwater drainage system that goes in there. There's stormwater in the main parking lot, and there's stormwater around the entire central building. A lot of coordination between myself, my supervisors, EEI, Crossroads Tutoring, principals.
All the subcontractors.
Is there summer programming during this?
There is, yeah. So not in this building. So it really won't affect this project. All summer stuff happens at Central this year. Nothing will be, no students, no staff. Once we start.
Is there gonna be like a clear perimeter? Because I'm just thinking
Yes,
of
yeah, we've got fence going in, just like we did last year when we had the window project. We had a clear fence from our 6-foot stockade fence all the way to the fence on this playground. There'll be a clear fence, because they will still utilize the playground in the summer, the kids will. So
playground will not be
But
shut
also,
off
I mean,
at all.
if we have any problems, I mean, Beth Ann's on board,
Yep.
she's been part of the
Oh, yeah.
conversations, Chris and Jess, and also if we need to change something,
Yep.
we work with the EEI and we
Yep.
change something, we address it, yeah, for sure.
Yep, so, but all contractor will be here. The exception is crane picks. When we do crane picks, that has to happen on this side, so that'll be a coordinated effort. We're hoping to have all the crane picks done prior to summer school even starting, so.
Is there any plan B in case, I know like Franklin, we got all that rain and we got delays, like, is there like any alternative, like we could push school back a week for this building, or?
We hope that doesn't happen.
Right, no,
Yeah, it's a
exactly.
tight schedule, so I
But
mean.
if it's that tight, we have to be prepared, right?
We would always have that option in an emergency, just as if we had something catastrophic happening to the building.
Right.
No, we could do that, so we'll keep families informed.
Families have been notified that there's construction going on this summer?
And not to say that it can't happen, but the good thing about having multiple jobs going on in our school district too is they're gonna pull more, they're perfectly aware of our time frame.
Yeah.
And they're gonna move people and maximize the projects that they can maximize in that time. So if they can work inside, they're gonna hammer out the work inside. If they can get outside, they're gonna do the same thing outside. Pull in more people if they need to pull in more people. Not that, so it can happen, but a lot of conversation's been happening to make sure that
Right.
those things do not happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest rain delays are gonna be around rooftop penetrations. So, bringing the steel up through the roof, setting the steel perimeters, all of the roof caps that have to go back on, all of the ceiling around the ductwork, that's gonna be the biggest piece of the puzzle that, that rain's gonna affect us with, so.
But that'll be happening soon.
That's gonna happen right off, that is, yeah.
Once I think it's just a matter of having
Good thing you didn't start last week.
Well, we were supposed to shut boilers off April break, and we didn't. Realistically, we wanted the boiler room empty already, but we couldn't. It was too cold, so we couldn't. A lot happening in here. We've got, this floor is staying, but there is a new sub base that's going over the top of this that will actually mimic a basketball court. It's a Tarkete sporting product. That will be going in here. We've got new nets that will be going in, the whole new system, hoops, nets, scoreboard. Like I said, from in here, you can see basically from just at the top of the windows, this will be panels on the bottom. You'll have full, I think it's 13 feet is what the measurement is. You'll have 13 feet of all lighting panels above each one of those.
Say lighting panels would be windows?
Well, they're not, yeah, they're frosted. It's a frosted window, but it's a safety window with the whole shoot match that it's been designed for a gym. We've gone back and forth on the product quite a few times with it.
We'll have a lot more natural light in here.
Be a ton of natural light in here. Yeah, a ton of natural light. That door, again, that door is getting changed to a double door for egress. Both of these doors as you come in, we got permission from the fire marshal to rotate those 180 degrees, so those will exit into the hallway. There will be new doors. This one has to be bigger per code. I think like 6 inches bigger. That one will stay the same size, but everything will switch the other way. One of the safety concerns has always been lockdowns during lunchtime, stuff like that, which we could never do. So we'll have that option after this.
Jason, I just want to mention the floor. So the floor is going to be, it has some shock absorption, but it's not going to be suitable for high school sports practices, stuff like that. It's not suitable for the regulation games or anything. It's more for elementary schools and that use.
MVU always uses Central as a practice. Like
Oh, they do?
rec uses Babcock. Anytime the high school, AAU, anybody comes down for basketball, they always use the hardwood
So
anyway.
on that door, we have to take out a roll of blocks on the right or left?
I'm not sure. I don't know exactly how they're doing it. I would imagine they're gonna have to put a lintel in. I'm sure they're gonna have to widen it, put a lintel in, reframe it, and put the new door frames in.
You wonder what 6 inches difference makes?
Yeah. I'm just happy that they're able to reverse the doors. It's been a long-standing issue here. These bathrooms, there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of years about these tiny little bathrooms where the plumbing doesn't work properly. So these, let me shut the switch off. Somebody shut the switch off. So what's gonna happen here is we will saw cut this entire floor from here out into the hallway.
You're gonna what?
Saw cut this whole floor. So the drainage.
Saw cut?
Yep, so we're gonna saw cut the concrete from here out into the hallway. These bathroom, as you can see it now, will get demolished. It'll get infilled. There'll be one door, and this will be an ADA accessible handicap bathroom for here. This floor comes out, this ceiling comes out, lighting remains, new doors. So not a lot's gonna stay the same in this little area here. Huh?
What about the kitchen?
Yeah, so in the kitchen, nothing really changes in the kitchen. We gotta take everything out of the kitchen just because we're coming through here to replace the 4-inch drain. So we'll pull everything out of here, put it in storage for the summer. New floor, all new floor will come in here, out there, in the bathrooms, will all be all new flooring. It's gonna be a lot of new flooring in this entire building, so. But all of the, the majority of this equipment is new. We've spent a lot of money the last few years with our hot lunch surplus, purchasing all new equipment. So most of the equipment itself is very new. We just put the overhead indoor last year, so. Yeah, so not a lot structurally will change here. It's gonna happen under here and then redo the flooring. Updating is Highgate, which is in our plant right now.
Where to next, Jason?
So again, more of the same here. Like I said, not much in the bathrooms other than ductwork, new doors, everything's getting repainted. No, we're gonna do white in the hallways and then the doors, once we get, I don't know if you noticed, like the new doors in the library, everything's gonna be wood doors. Yeah, so we're gonna get away from the metal doors. So all the metal doors will go away. It'll be all wood doors. So these two bathrooms right here, this is a huge part of the project. We got currently girls, boys. When everybody refers to a gang-style bathroom, this is yeah. So this entire room gets completely redone. Everything comes out from here. The entire floor comes out. The wall actually between the boys' room and the girls' room will come out because all of the plumbing is in that wall. So that wall will come out completely. They will build a regular sheetrock wall to put all the plumbing in. Everything will be, ADA accessible in here.
There'll still be a separation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Still have two doors from the outside. Just all the plumbing will be accessible.
Will this be single stalls?
It'll be this. So this being the boys' bathroom, you'll have urinals, and then I think it was 3 urinals and 5 stalls is how it'll be. One fully ADA. One with handrails per code, 3 regular size, and then 3 urinals. Then the other side will be, the girls' side will be, I believe it's 7 stalls, complete stalls.
Is there gonna be separation between the stalls unlike this?
So so when the other, it'll be just like in our other wing where you have the individual panel that comes down. So it's a 2-foot panel that's off the floor about 2 feet. So you'll have individual, it won't be, as far as this, they only come out, about this far. But you'll have spacing.
So there'll be some privacy.
Yep, it'll all be new. Yep.
I just wanna make sure anybody watching this, that there's going to be spacing and privacy different to what there is now.
Very different, yep, it's gonna look very different. Yep, so again, this in here will also get a ceiling because this is basically between this room and the bathroom next door. All of the plumbing that's in the ceiling of the boiler room enters the building through here. That's all getting redone, re-insulated as part of this project. So they are going to be putting a ceiling in here as well, which will make it look that much better. So these rooms are going to look very, very different. This single door will become a double door. which has been long.
That seems to be a theme.
We've wanted this forever, so this will become a double door, which will be great. And then, you know, this wing here, this is where the majority of the big work will happen. So, well, it's a huge project. So the reason this project is going till December is because of this wing. Everything on that side of the door, that way, has to be done to open school back up. All of these classrooms, there's 8 classrooms, there's the library, there's guidance. Everybody that is over here is getting dispersed between the buildings, right? So any spare space we have here, we'll have classrooms. Spare spaces we have at Central, we'll have classrooms. That gives them the ability to redo this entire wing. So every room in here, one of the reasons we have moisture issues is because we have bat insulation that sits on top of this ceiling grid. It sat there for years and years and years. The first piece of that was putting the new roof on last year. Now that the roof's on and we can build an actual proper fire rated envelope, all of this will come out. There'll be a fire deck. All of the plumbing, all of the ductwork will run within that fire deck. Everything will be insulated, just like they did in Franklin's project. It'll all be insulated the same way. And then they will slowly start to build the layers back down, run all the plumbing, electrical.
What are you doing with this space?
This is what they call the cozy corner. I mean, it's all gonna get updated. All this will get updated and it'll stay. We're not changing layout at all.
So like this, the heat.
All new registers are going in, all new. There's gonna be, see, we can pop into a classroom real quick. There's no air distribution within the ceiling. The only air distribution in this entire wing comes from little units like these. So all of the rooms on this wing, including the library, have small cabinet unit heaters. That's the fresh air and that's the heat system. The new system, once they put it in, we're gonna have radiant heat panels within all into the ceiling. So all new ceilings, all the radiant heat panels. You'll also have all your ductwork over here as well. Ductwork's going to provide supplemental heating, just like in Highgate. It's heat exchangers until it gets below 30 degrees. Then our boilers will kick in, but it'll be supplemental heating in the fall, supplemental heating in the spring. Just for example, we haven't had the boilers on in Highgate for almost a month now because of the supplemental heating. And then all of these rooms will have the conditioned air.
Will any of the affected classrooms, will we have students who would traditionally be in Babcock have a classroom in Central?
Yes, 5 classrooms will be moving. Yep, 4 second grade classrooms and 1 first grade classroom will be going to Central. Yep. That's about it. It's about the project.
That's about it.
All right, great. Next item, Julie, you have a legislative update for us?
Yes, as you may have heard from the Vermont School Board Association, the Senate did vote out a version of H454, which is the Education Transformation Bill. They did not have enough support behind the Senate version of the bill that Senate Education and Finance passed. And so instead, some real yeoman's work happened gosh, you can tell I've been watching videos because that's the phrase they used. But yeah, a group of us were up watching Senate things at 6 o'clock at night on Friday. But they really took the House version that had passed the House and amended it so that there was a compromise forged. There were additional amendments that were proposed that did not pass, but it is something for them to work with. The Vermont School Board Association did a little side-by-side. Next Tuesday, we have another school board meeting. I have a side-by-side in there of the regular House version and then the amendments. By the time that happens, we expect that conference committee will have drafted the final bill, and that'll be voted on probably this Friday. So we'll have an update potentially next Tuesday. The thing about conference committee is they don't forge new ideas or make a creative compromise. They look at existing language in versions and they bring it together. So we know the kinds of things that we're looking at. But for example, one of the amendments that was part of this, they reduced the minimum class sizes so that there'd be 10 would be the minimum in kindergarten and 15 would be the minimum at higher grade levels. So it's I think a little closer to what the Senate was looking for. We will have to, a lot of the work will happen next year in next year's session. So we shall see what the governor does when the final bill comes out, what his reaction is, and whether they have to go back to the drawing board or if it's enough to get started for the next biennium.
So what's the rationale? I've been trying to talk with different people and I haven't gotten an answer. What's the rationale for trying to set class size into legislation?
There was a lot of discussion about that in the committees,
right,
about why they're doing that. And I think that's really nobody wants to create a small school size for viability, but if you create minimum class sizes, then that drives a process by which school boards in whatever the new school districts look like would be examining the structure of the school and the viability of the school to provide what is needed.
Because I think of the two schools that I followed for many years, Franklin and Montgomery, do have some small classes, but they outperform just about everybody in the state of Vermont.
And our class sizes are well within these, especially when you have a school that has 1 grade per class. You might occasionally get a class with 12 students in it. Mostly you get classes with 21 students in it. And that's certainly the case in our district. That's not the case throughout the state. So yes, right now, regulation says that school districts will have established class size parameters. So they are taking that out of policy and putting it into legislation. Potentially, they may eliminate it.
It amazes me that many legislators, and I know many of my colleagues have left, but have never been in a school since they graduated. But yet they seem to be experts in what,
I do want to say that I want to recognize the fact that Senator Norris called me and called every superintendent in the county to talk through his concerns, his worries, the fact that he wanted us to know that he wasn't necessarily supporting the Senate version of things, but that he, was looking out for our schools, that he did care about public schools in he was really thoughtful about what his decision was, and I know that all the senators were really struggling with this vote. I heard your mom speak about how difficult it was for her to make her decision. So,
Did you hear from Senator Brock?
No. I was very grateful to Bob for reaching out. He was from the heart, very sincere.
That was a good tour.
Well, thank you for that, Julie. And that also reminded me, our next school board meeting is next week.
It is next week. Wow.
At Highgate?
It is at Highgate instead of MVU. Remember, we move it up so graduation.
We'll talk about it when we get there. Okay, so next we had, so we put this on here to revisit the Rural School Community Alliance. That was what we were briefed on a couple months back. We said we would put it on for possible consideration in one of our meetings in May. So we have it on here. Is there a discussion? Is there a desire? It's possible action. If any board members would like to do something with that. I know we're exactly a quorum right now. but it's on the agenda. So, any discussion about that?
I mean, I would say, I don't remember the list that Jay shared with us, but I know he did share a list of other organizations and individuals who have signed on in support. My stance is I am not comfortable saying the full board is in support of this. I think that if individual members are in agreement with their stance and their goals, then I think that it would be fine for individual members to sign up and say, like, yes, I am a school board member for MVSD. But if it were to come to does the board as a board want to sign on to support this, I would not support that.
Don, do you have any thoughts on it?
Yes. I'm disappointed a full board's not here, but I know there are good reasons why they aren't here. So I'm thinking, should we just table it until the next board meeting so we have a full board, or do we take action? I'm glad I'm sitting next to you because I think this is a wonderful opportunity and we should do it as a full board. I know some of the players. I did note that when they talked about the list of people who would, like it'd be a superintendent, a business manager, or whatever, and a committee to look at the districting, that the Rural Alliance was going to be a voice there.
You have some school districts that have signed on, and their superintendents are testifying on their behalf as part of their team. Ryan Harity from Lamoille comes to mind. John Castle comes to mind.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no school districts of our size on that list.
Mostly smaller school districts or SUs, places that are concerned about losing the supervisory union and school choice options, but that's not completely the case.
See, for me, I see Franklin and Highgate potential for more impact on them. Swanton is not a small school.
What do you mean potential for more impact?
Well, you never know when you start making changes what ends, and as the legislature gets into it, we were told when we were doing Act 46 this is a big change and this is probably the last one you'll see in your lifetime, and gee, I've lived 5 more years and I've seen another big change. So I could see people saying we're going to close the school. I mean, we have articles that say you can't, but the legislature could go, everybody's going to change, and we're not going to have a school in Franklin.
I think that's already been established, though, that the legislature does have the power to close schools. Like that came out through.
I think this could be the next step. So one more voice that says, slow it down. So anyway, but what you said, I, as an individual school board member, do what I want to do. Well, this has a negative impact on the district, but as I say, I certainly would make a motion, but not tonight, because we need a full board.
Joanne, Peter, any thoughts on it? Just right now, I think we're just trying to decide. I think we're talking about bringing this up again when we have a full board. Any thoughts for consideration right now?
I'm supportive to what Dawn is saying about bringing it back, right, when we do have a full board. My only comment about it was because not that I researched it, but I just read through, what the group promotes or what the group seemed to do, and I thought that it was good. So I guess I was just kind of looking for feedback of, why we shouldn't. And I'm fine, I agree with Megan, like if an individual wants to do it, then that's fine, we can do it, but is there a reason why, we should not do it? I guess we should not be part of this alliance.
My thinking is that it could set a precedent unintentionally, that the board, there could be an assumption that the board feels one way versus another if we are joining, signing our names to certain things in the future. Have we opened the doors to have other groups come in and try to get the board support, I don't know. I don't like the idea of unintentionally setting a precedent. But that's just where my head is.
Okay.
Can I say, I understand what Don is saying about bringing it back, but like Jay brought this to us months ago, and I feel like we sort of kicked the can. And at this point, I don't know, did we lose the power of us saying, hey, we're signing on at this point? Because it's the end of May, a bill is imminent, it's coming out in a week. Is it even relevant anymore? Like, did we miss the shot? And so I worry also because this was on the agenda. Like, the full board knew it was going to be discussed tonight. So I don't feel like we should kick it further down the road where it's going to possibly become even less relevant. If people aren't comfortable having a motion and making a vote one way or another, maybe it would be best for it to be reintroduced once we know what we're dealing with, like once we have the final bill, which again is coming in theory in a few days. I worry that we've just sort of missed the opportunity to make an impact.
It may be something that rises again in the next legislative session.
Exactly. And if it did, it should be addressed at the beginning. Like, as soon as it comes up, have it properly warned and so on, so that we can have a discussion and add our name at a point, or not add our name, have the discussion at a point where it could actually be impactful.
But if this summer study committee is meeting, and they're talking about size of school districts and drawing the lines, now would be the time to get in the game. I came tonight expecting we'd have a full board, and I was going to make a motion that we join. But when I saw 3 people, whether it's this issue or where we're going to buy toilet paper, I'd probably like to see full boards on big decisions, okay? 1 person missing, probably not a big deal. 2 missing, what do we have, 3 missing tonight?
Right.
That's, but I guess maybe we should vote on it, and if they weren't here, that's tough.
Julie, with a vote of 5 members, so we're a quorum of the board.
Yes,
Do all 5 members have to agree, or a majority of those present?
majority of those present.
So I'm disappointed too that we haven't brought this back sooner, but part of it's on me for not pushing it harder. I would like to see the board consider this. I don't think it's setting a precedent. It's one thing that's coming to us. Other things may come to us. We have our choice whether we want to sign or not. I do think rural schools we're Vermont. We have a lot of small communities. And Franklin is one of them. And I'm very concerned about what's going to happen in Franklin. We've got a great school there, and we've invested a lot in that school. But it won't be the same school board anymore. So it's not going to be people that have invested in it or have seen what it's done over the years. So I would like to have someone or a group that is at least having that idea that there's value in these schools. And I would, and whether it's tonight, I almost would rather have it be tonight, because I think it's important that we sign on as soon as we can, because there is so much going on right now. And down the road, there's going to be things going on again, like you said. So I don't see a negative in signing on, as Joanne said. to see us consider this.
So Peter convinced me, I'm gonna make a motion that we join. MVSD join.
Is there a second? Because what I was going to say was we have a school board meeting next week.
But we don't know, we could be in this exact same situation where
Yeah,
people
we
aren't
could
there. I mean, we didn't know that everyone who was absent was going to be absent, correct? So,
It's just an observation.
See, when Jay was here, I sensed reluctance on the part of the board because I didn't feel people had advanced knowledge. I mean, that was nobody's fault. I mean, he'd come and he'd talk to different people.
Yep.
But I thought it was handled right, it was formalized on the board, but I respected people wanting more information. I might have had, well, I didn't have more than anybody else, but I had quite a bit of information about it. Talking briefly with Jay and knowing some of the players. And, but I said we should do it in May. But we've had a lot on our agenda. So anyway, we're here tonight, and I came thinking, let's say yes or no. And then when I saw 3 people missing, I kind of thought no, but I'm prepared to make a motion tonight, or I can wait and make it next week, but I think it needs to be voted on.
I'll second Don's motion.
Okay. There is a motion to, what would the motion be exactly?
The MVSD become a member of the Rural School Community Alliance.
So Don is a first, Peter's a second. So we've had discussion. I think to Don's original point that I would prefer to have a majority of the board here to feel comfortable to have my vote for this. I understand that there's not. My personal perspective as one single board member is I understand what the group represents to a degree. However, they've changed quite a bit from what they first said just in the last 2 months. They put out a lot of different things, and I think any member, sort of to Megan's point, can be a part of it. I think as a district, I would like to probably ask the superintendent to really flesh out the pros and cons and how that, because the biggest thing that I took from when Jay, well,
Please continue.
well, the biggest thing that Jay sort of indicated was a positive, was that the alliance was a voice down in the legislature.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, please correct me, but that was the biggest thing I understood. I think as a district, we already have a significant voice. We have the VSBA behind us, and I would just want to make sure before signing on to the alliance that there isn't any other side consequences of that. To have a district, again, of our size that encompasses, 3 schools, an ag center, high school, that's not going to be hurt us in a different way. So I would just like, before the board signs on to that, make sure that we have that information available, because once we do that, I don't think that's something that we can just easily undo. And so, and again, we are at this point a week away or 2 weeks away from the legislative session ending. I think we are a little bit late to the game. I do agree with that. So if we were to wait.
See, I disagree on late in the game, because the game really hasn't started.
I'm just saying at this particular moment, a week before the session ends,
No.
something
we-
like this is just my opinion, Don.
Yeah.
Something like this might make more sense as we enter into a new session with a clear understanding of what we're doing. I'm all for keeping Franklin is just as important as Highgate is Swanton, but I would just like to make sure that everyone has done all the research, understands what it is, and what we'd be committing to. So that would be my suggestion.
We've got a motion on the floor and
We
a
do.
second. So you're gonna
So-
deal with that.
The only reason I had the facial reaction was, they're an organization that's an alliance that have a political perspective that I do not have an opinion that I feel I could share pros and cons, because I think you are right that their policy positions have shifted as the legislative session shifts. I think it's important that the board is clear. I think that the only risk that you have is that whether you are sending a message that you agree with their positions or you don't, because you probably don't agree with all of their positions. You probably agree with some of their positions. But I think that that's not a prerequisite. It's not like if you were around for Act 46 when we signed on to some of the schools signed on to a lawsuit, then the board was acting in a very particular way with a particular set, a policy that you were suing over. This is really to get information, to see what those advocates are saying, and to it's not necessarily aligning yourself with every single policy position, but that's really the risk. I mean, I've given you their position papers, and that's really, they're fairly vague.
They're very vague.
But when you listen to their testimony, then it's very specific around small schools,
Yes.
independent schools.
But
and,
I think
and that's fine.
my biggest
There's
thing.
pros and cons. That's for the legislature to.
Right.
I wouldn't want to guide the board to say that their positions are something that you agree with or don't agree with. Really what you're looking for, what I'm hearing from Dawn and Joanne and Peter, is that you want the information, you want to be able to hear what they're saying and look at the materials that they're putting forth.
Well, and it's political. Like
It
that's my issue. They have a political agenda. Whether we agree with that agenda or not, I'm not comfortable as saying the entire district is in support of this agenda, especially because it does shift. And what I feel is important for our schools, knowing that we have Franklin, and it's an amazing school, it's a small school. Me saying I want to protect Franklin and everything we've built here doesn't mean that I think every single small school in the state is viable. And so that is why, like, we are just a little area, and this is a statewide alliance with very different scenarios. Like, it's just our situation is not the same as it is in every other district. So I'm not comfortable as a board saying, yes, this is what every school in the state should go after. So again, that's my 2 cents. I'm fine putting it to a vote, I'm fine waiting, but there is a motion.
There is a motion in a
No.
second, so you need to vote on it.
Not all the schools are viable, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't still fight for the schools that are. And to me, it's no different than the VSBA. I don't agree with a lot of their stances.
That's true.
And we're paying to join them. And I feel they're political a lot of the times, and that's what upsets me.
That's true. That's true.
I was
So
like-
to me, I don't think it's any different than having someone that we do have some views that we would like to see pushed. We don't have to agree with everything that they stand for, but we would like to at least acknowledge that they have some points that we think the legislature should consider.
You know, VSBA has been mentioned by 3 or 4 of us. I was vice president of VSBA. I represented Franklin County. I was on the losing end of VSBA. There were other people who said this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and we have to do it. And VSBA has to come out in favor of it, but got to be careful how you come out in favor of it. And unbeknown to many of our members, including myself, the chair of VSBA, when we testified, because he's from Norwich, Vermont, and Dartmouth College and Hanover, and basically felt we'd been worked over. But so it's gambling. I guess the motion stands. I'd call the question.
Say what?
Call the question and vote it tonight.
I mean, we have to because it's a
There's
motion and it's seconded. So
Let's be done with it because, this is the end of the year and there's sports season and there's everything else. We could be in the same position next week. So.
The only thing I will add is to pass a motion like this or fail a motion like this, when we look back and see that there was only 5 members of the board, I'm not necessarily that'll be.
Any one of those 3 could come back next week and ask for reconsideration.
Yep, and I'm sure Pierrette wouldn't mind because I've talked to her several times, and she is, talking to her has kind of influenced my stance on it as well, but she is fully in support of joining the alliance, so if that helps anybody.
Well, all I'll add is I think it's the wrong time, and I don't think that there's enough information about everything that we would be adopting to put our name to something like that, and I think there could be possible other things that could be a part of that from a district level, that if there's a gain for supporting rural schools, this might put us in a bucket that could affect our overall district, that I think more time to consider would be warranted. That's my opinion.
I call the question, Mr. Chairman.
All right. You said you call into question?
call the question.
That means
I call
he's
the
calling
question.
for a vote.
Got it.
Time to vote.
It's new language. I like that. All right. All in favor of adopting the Rural School Community Alliance, please say aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 3-2.
3-2. I know that was a tough one, but
It's a tough
I think you have, to be fair, I think you have sort of representative group here. And you probably, I definitely hear the concern about what are we signing on to as a district. But I think a lot of districts signed on just to sign on. So hopefully.
The motion is what it is.
Yeah.
That's why you vote.
Exactly.
As I said.
Mr. Chairman, as the one that made the motion, I will say that if by the time the legislature meets next January, if we start seeing things coming from this organization, I would make a motion that we withdraw from them.
That would be your motion to make?
No. Not tonight.
That's not a motion now. I'm saying, but if let's say all of a sudden Megan comes in, she has contact with the legislature, and we're hearing things that we don't think are consistent with our views, then I'd say I would. I mean, VSBA, we pay a lot of money every year, and it's kind of automatic, and I've kind of made it automatic as a member, but we don't have to join VSBA.
Yeah, and that's something we can bring back. I have a lot of close friends in the legislature, and I'm cautious to put our name on something that might get lumped in and hurt our district overall. And I don't think that this is the only way not to support our small schools, but we have a big district. And there's a lot going on in the legislature, and so I felt waiting would have been better, but the vote is the vote, and that's the way it is. So, moving on. Food service contract renewal.
I always get fun things.
This is easy.
So if you remember last year, we had the big, long RFP process that's required, but we are allowed 4 possible renewals. There are only ever 1-year food service management contracts for our 3 schools, Highgate, MVU, and Swanton. We're on year 1. I would propose that we do renew with the Abbey for their food service management contract. They are offering us an increase of 3.7%, which is the contract renewal growth rate amount for this type of a contract. Just a little bit of context, your breakfast price that we would be paying the Abbey, not what we charge families, but what we would be paying our food service management company, would go from $2.41 to $2.49, and lunch would go from $3.99 to $4.13. Management fee for the Abbey, which is sort of the money that they're making off of our contract, would remain at 8 cents. It does not increase the same percentage. I would like to note, because I think it's always really great information this time of year, the projected annual units for breakfast is 185,000 plus. That's a lot of breakfast. Reimbursable lunches, 187,000. Summer breakfast, 22,000. Summer lunch, 20,000. So we serve a lot of meals to a lot of kids and a lot of families, which I think is something to be really proud of. And I think it also reflects well on the food service management company themselves, because our participation is very high.
Do we have to take and do the same for the Franklin project? Lunch program?
No, because it's not a food service management contract. If they ever move to one, yes, but.
I move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
What, you say reimbursable, what does that mean?
When you serve a complete meal by the food service management company standards, then it is considered reimbursable, and then the state would give us the amount back.
So that's all of them?
Yes.
That's part of that
So-
universal lunch.
So this is the amount we are paying for the meal. The reimbursement rate is higher than that.
So did the governor back off?
I was just gonna ask that.
On the
Yeah.
universal meal thing.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, all in favor of approving the food service contract renewal, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries 5-0. We have new professional hires. Julie?
We do. Let me open that document. We have 5 new teachers to bring before you. It's been very busy. Amy Razicott will be a new English language learner teacher for the district. Tom Sumner is coming back to MVU in a new role. He had left to pursue other things, but then decided that he was interested in coming back to MVU. He'll be doing some place-based education with middle school students on campus, which is exciting. Courtney Kaiser will be coming as an elementary ed teacher to Highgate. Sophia Brigante and Brooke Wilkie are both coming to Swanton as elementary classroom teachers.
Now, you mentioned the music teacher earlier.
The music teacher was last week. Last
Who
week.
left us? Who?
Claudia
Polankowski.
Polankowski.
She hadn't been here very long.
No, she was 1 year.
That's all. All right, good. I was hoping we had lost our strings too.
Nope, it's all good.
Can I get a motion to approve the new teachers?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the new professional hires, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. And Julie, it looks like you have a teacher resignation for next year?
Yes, I don't know that it needs to go into executive session. There's it's somebody who did sign a contract with us but is moving out of state after all. So it's a resignation for the end of the school year. But technically, we would have a vote to accept that resignation, which I recommend.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion about the resignation?
Fairly new teacher or a long time?
A few years.
Fairly.
All in favor of the teacher resignation for next school year?
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries 5-0. Next we had committee updates for the month. Peter, you want to start us off with any facility updates?
Pretty good one today.
Pretty good one today.
Laura stole one of mine though for the facilities next meeting being
Oh, sorry.
yeah, and because I was ready to rub it in people's faces, and then you invited everybody.
Yeah, I thought it was our little.
You would never do that.
They're working hard. Peter and I are looking forward to that.
That's right.
10 years on this facilities, and we get now, probably don't even get a
I need
drink.
to share the appetizers.
And now you have to share appetizers with anybody who
But
shows up.
that is a great gesture, and bring in all the, the building principals and everybody, so everybody knows what's going on. So I thought that was a great idea.
The heads of maintenance. Will Steve do that in Franklin?
I can invite him.
I think Jason's going to be there. I think he should be.
The only other thing we didn't talk about last time is because we talked about the purchases of equipment and stuff, was the Cassidy property. So the Cassidys had sold the property to the Highgate School, right, at the time. And I don't know if it's in the contract, or it was supposed to be used for student or kids, right?
It's a little letter.
Yeah.
Brief.
So I don't think there's ever been a real purpose for that property to this point. So in the past, the hay's been cut off. They've had an agreement with a local farmer, I believe, and they've been cutting the hay off that. And I believe the school got the second cut of that hay to feed the animals in the ag department. So this year, decisions were made thinking that we needed to open this process up. So we ended up putting out a bid for hay to satisfy the ag department's need for hay, and we are looking at as far as how we're going to control, because we got to keep that property cleared so it doesn't grow up. So we're looking at putting out for bid to see if any local farmers would like to get the hay off of that field. So we're looking at that. Doesn't mean that we will do it the same way moving forward, but that's the way we're doing it this year. And we'll look at the process next year. But it also brings to the point is, should we be looking at that property for any other use that's going to benefit kids? So it's something for us to consider moving forward, but just wanted to bring that to the board's attention.
And Peter started talking, we talked a lot about it, but it was at the facilities meeting. I'm thinking, I think what we're doing is right. I don't know a lot about it, but I spent some time on it, and then we had a meeting. I know Laura's worked on it, but it was one of those ideas that sounded good, but it's...
We needed it to be more open, and because it's a valuable thing that we're doing, so we need to make sure that that's
But the
transparent.
location of it is never going to, in my mind, work for our ag program.
So many things that we can talk about in the future about that property.
But the other thing that Laura pointed out, and Peter did, buying hay became an issue with some of the people, not in our committee, but around the area. Bidding and buying the hay is a very good idea because we don't have storage space for the hay we were taking from the property. So I think in the end it's going to be working out real well.
Much better.
Thank you for the update, Peter.
Yep.
No updates from finance. We don't meet until the fall.
October.
Yeah, closer to budget time. And Joanne, did you have any updates from student success?
So yes, we met last week. I don't know. Last week we met last week. Yeah. So we had a presentation from Tanya and Christy about the new education and quality standards, which goes into effect July 1. So they went over that with us, and then Kosha presented. She just did a very quick overview of the continuous improvement plan as a whole for MVSD and kind of where it stands. So we're in year 2 out of a 5-year plan, and it looks like we're on the right track. It will come to the board, the continuous improvement plan, in
Probably August, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what she said. So the schools all have to do their own breakdown. Okay, good. So once we have all of the schools, it'll come to the board.
Thank you. All right, so future agenda items, we have MVU behavioral data, Highgate updates, end of year data review, which is district goals, and then Franklin wellness initiatives. Am I missing anything?
That'll be, nope, that's just the next, that's what we'll be covering in June.
Okay. And then June.
Sorry. I had teacher retention at the next.
That's,
is
yes,
that-
that's part of the district goals. That's
Okay.
one of our district goals.
Okay.
So good for calling that out.
Okay.
We'll make sure that's in there.
All right, for the board.
And then reminder, our next meeting is next week
Correct?
at Highgate. Could you send a calendar invite?
It is a calendar invite, but I can.
Is it?
I can
For some
refresh
reason,
it.
I checked my calendar. Okay.
I'll check.
Yeah, June 3rd, and then one thing we have, is that for tonight, scheduled July retreat,
Yes.
the 9th or the 17th, so we'll talk about that next week.
Well, I was thinking we'd schedule that now. That's why it's on the agenda.
Julie,
I
can
don't-
we go back to the next
Oh,
meeting is
for the
June
people not.
3rd?
Yes, next week.
Is that a
Yes.
Tuesday?
It is Tuesday.
Okay, that's my calendar's on there.
So,
But my question is MVU administrators going to be there
Yes.
too?
Yes, and Steve Messier is going to be reporting on, I don't know if all of them will be there because they have had most board meetings
Oh, yeah.
that they're at, and Highgate only has maybe 3 times. So we're trying to have it be
No, I think it's a good
Highgate
idea, I
focused.
just wondered
But
if-
Steve Messier will be there to do the MVU update data.
yeah, we talked about that before, Don, about having it
Yeah,
there.
no, I knew we were going to do it. I was just wondering, I know the end of the school year, a lot of things pop up, and I just wondered
Oh.
if Dan was going to be there as a principal. but maybe not.
I'm not sure because there's a very big concert happening
That night,
that
too?
night. So I will
Okay.
verify
No, it's
that.
good. Oh.
Julie, can you, for the schedule for retreat,
Yeah. Do we
or
want
I'll-
to do that next week, or do you want me to email
Yeah, I
everybody?
was just gonna say, yeah, if you just want to email the board, or I can email the board, and then that way, everyone can look at their schedules, and then we'll make a point to pick it by next week.
Perfect.
Regardless of who's here.
I asked the VSBA to hold those days for us so that somebody else doesn't swoop in and take the days that you all are available. So
Let's do this. Is there a preference between those two dates to the board members who are here?
What are they again?
July
9th
9th
or
and
the 16th.
Thank you for getting it before the 17th.
But I
would
saw
be-
what I had to work with, Mr. Collins.
I don't have any preference. The 9th is easier, but.
The
I don't-
17th is easier. I'm just getting back from out of town.
You mean the 16th?
16th.
17th is not
Oh
an
my
option.
gosh. Yes, 16th.
Well, it's all an option. I just
Yeah.
picked the Wednesday because
Right.
usually we try to do it at the Abbey and they're not open on Mondays and Tuesdays. So, you know, we could always look at another venue.
The later one is easier, whatever date that is.
16th is good with me, good with you.
I'll make it work. I'm on vacation.
Well,
So maybe
we're
just-
not gonna, we're gonna,
It's fine.
yeah.
Julie, just put out email.
I'll
to
put
the
an
other
email
board.
out, but it's
Could say
a
that.
good straw poll.
But yeah,
Here.
so it looks like more likely the 16th, barring anything catastrophic.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Just need you, Peter.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. Stephanie's